Hello everyone, and welcome back to Dungeons & Dragons: The Second Age. How are we all?
Good.
Great.
Yeah. Excellent.
I feel good, but a little.
So, without further ado, to prevent people from singing, does anyone want to catch us up to everything that happened last time?
I will certainly give it a go.
Okay.
Because we rejoined after a bit of a cliffhanger. Because we had Arya, Kelariis, and Elizabeth about to take on basically a whole army single-hand, like on their own.
Yes, the
In the hopes
vanguard of
that
an
Grim,
army.
Yeah, in the hopes that Grim could arrive in time with reinforcements and they could protect the village. And I think the previous week we'd been fairly confident. Then we started that session. We're suddenly very scared, and I think it all turned out pretty damn well, I have to say. Elizabeth did wizard things.
Yes.
Arya provided invaluable crowd control and good single target damage, and Kelariis was a very useful distraction for the for
Nice.
those that survived. And it turned out to be quite the success. The Vanguard force was completely blunted, and then after Kelariis performing some impressive single combat abilities, taking down a CR-12 bad guy all on her own,
Yep.
we secured peace for the village, at least for the time being, because the chieftain did say he'd be back, but yeah. We helped them. They then were aware to the fact that the town had not exactly had a guard for a while, were able to set one. We headed back to Helm's Blessing. We got our reward. We said our goodbyes to the princess, and off we went back to our beautiful fortress, where we had tons and tons of mail.
Yes, you had some mail.
Yeah, tons of mail, and everyone got a letter. Isn't that nice? No one had anything threatening or violent in their letter.
Oh shit. Ferrous, I'm
Just-
sorry. I forgot to write you a response.
That's okay. You don't
It's
have to
been
write
a
it straight away.
Crazy week for me, so.
That's okay.
It's fine. Hey, it could be worse. You could have written the response and then not sent it.
And
Yeah.
sent it to me, like, literally, what, 3 minutes ago?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm a skilled individual.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all had tons of mail, and no one had any threats written on their letter. They were just lovely letters from
Well, none of you know that in character yet. So yes, we ended on the very scene we see before us, thanks to some maps that I made.
Hooray. Oh, yeah,
Um,
a lovely fortress map.
So yes, as Vondal takes and distributes handfuls of mail, I presume you guys are sort of like opening them on the spot and sort of reading through them.
Yeah.
Okay. Sadani sort of turns to you, Grim, as you're sort of like opening up your letter and taking a look inside, and sort of says, "Well, as a status report, things weren't perhaps quite as dull as we were expecting. Yeah, when you have a moment, I'd like to sort of catch you up on everything that went down, because I think there's some stuff that you'd like to know about."
Very well.
At which point Vondal sort of like turns back to you and says, "Ah, yes. Before I forget, we've already had people coming up from Ivywood Market today. Well, in the last week, asking for the next payment on our on this place. So, if we could maybe make some steps towards getting that done, that would be much appreciated."
That shouldn't be a problem. Let me see. How much did we owe them again?
We ordered them 4,000, right?
No, we owed him. We still owed him 2,500. We just reeled in another 2,000.
Yeah, don't worry. We made sure Grim didn't spend any of the reward along the way.
I feel like that's the opposite of the problem that we would
Yeah.
have had to worry about, though.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna acknowledge it. Well, so we shouldn't be too far off completing. Actually, how much? We wouldn't be able to scrounge together the last couple hundred gold, would we?
How much gold do I have?
Elizabeth empties a pouch into her hand, and there's literally just 10 gold pieces in it. And just no.
Oh,
I only have 100, so.
that's good.
I have 210.
So we'd still be short.
Yeah, it may be worth it to just leave the extra 500 for another day so that we also have money to buy
Yeah.
things that we
To
want
live.
We're still not due to pay off the full thing for quite some time.
Oh,
I'd offer you what I have, but well, I suppose it's all communal. But I went ahead and did a little bit of shopping, and at this point, like Vondal like turns to you, Clarice, and sort of says, "I realized when you left, there's something that you that we didn't have that you probably should have done, and I took the liberty of." And he sort of like hands you a bag.
Oh?
You sort of undo the ties and open the bag, and inside is some diamond dust. And he just sort of like looks at you, smiles, and says, "Just in case."
Thank
Just
you,
in
that's definitely something that we probably should have had recently, just in case. Leave it to you to always be prepared.
Bon Dad strikes again.
Right?
Wow. This is like the awful equivalent of like getting home after school. It's like, you didn't take your lunch. It's like, I knew I'd forgotten something.
You didn't take your magical resurrecting gems.
Yeah.
No.
wait, did he hand us powder?
Powder. in
Yeah,
the
Oh.
Vondal handed 300 gold's worth of diamond dust to Kelariis, which is enough to cast Revivify.
I thought we only had the big boy, the 500 gold one.
Yes, Vondal went and bought some while you were away.
Boom.
Just gonna shove that into my inventory.
But yes, Vondal still has the large gemstone which he can use to cast Raise Dead.
Slightly more potent.
Just a little bit.
But
Yeah.
there is a time limit on that. And unless Elizabeth decides to learn Gentle Repose, it's quite a tight one.
It's a week, isn't it?
It's a week, yes.
But with message now, and well, Gentle Repose is something you might be able to get done by a local cleric.
That's true.
Yeah, we could always find a scroll if we deem it necessary.
Vondal just sort of like nods all through this and says, "It's good to be prepared. I mean, I trust you all to not be entirely, well, you can be a little crazy sometimes."
Don't worry. It's like my dad always used to say, better safe than sorry.
Your dad was very smart.
Oh. I
Yeah,
just need to
you'd
learn how to act like it.
What? I was perfectly safe.
That's fine.
I only nearly got hit by like 4 giant. Never mind.
It's fine.
Not helping your case much there, huh?
Yeah, can't say that you are.
Hey, at least I didn't actually get hit.
So, like at this point, Vondal and Sedani both have their eyebrows raised, one in concern and one in curiosity.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just well, I guess if I notice, I'll just be either just some ogre crossbows. They,
I mean,
they're big, but they're they weren't too accurate, fortunately.
especially not when you're hiding behind a dirt embankment. I'm so glad we had those.
Yeah, those really saved our butts.
I can tell the full
wouldn't
story
know.
while we sort through that giant pile of letters you've now got.
That's all right. I've been through a couple, and there probably isn't much left to go through. I'll have time to go through them shortly. I'm sure you guys want to rest after having been on the road so long. We've got some training to finish up with the recruits. So if you guys want to take a short break, I guess we'll eat a little later than usual, if that's okay.
Fine by me.
Sure, but
Yeah.
what about the information you had? Or do you, like, how crucial is it?
Sedani sort of like mulls it over in her head for a minute and says, well, it's not super critical, and we don't need to do anything about it right now, but I learned some interesting things talking to some merchants who were travelling through, and it's sort of stuff that I think might interest you, considering your history and all.
Well, I guess yeah.
Is that
I guess we'll find out after ordering dinner, perhaps.
I don't know. Is that you singular or you plural?
Well, I mean, Grim particularly, but all of you to a certain extent. Sort of. I
A
suppose.
little bit of both.
I suppose the short story of it is, I've heard rumours of basically somewhere out in the middle of nowhere. I wrote it all down to give the full report, but basically, some travellers from the west told me an interesting story about some island that's supposedly, well, I want to say haunted, but I'm not sure if that's the right word. Like, haunted by demons.
Cursed,
Guess,
Huh.
plagued by demons.
Guess-
Well, I wouldn't say
aren't
plagued
demons
because the
infestation?
place is uninhabited, and presumably because of the demons. But
Yeah, that's a pretty good reason.
it was just something about the stories that you told me about your experience with demons, and that time that you went to the demi-plane, was it?
Well, a few of the others have been. I missed out on that. Well, yeah, I missed out on that one.
No,
You went to the
Oh,
demi-plane.
the demi plane. Oh
Yeah.
no, I
yeah,
forgot.
Yeah.
that was
The
yeah.
other.
Yeah, you were at the demi-plane. You weren't at the Shadowfell.
Yeah. So
So-
your experience with demons and I think it was a demi-plane. It just some of the details that they told me about things sort of lined up, and I thought it might be of interest to you. That's kind of all it is, really.
Demons and demi-plane.
Well,
That's what D&D actually stands for.
Demons
That's
and
what-
demi-planes.
Yeah, Sedani just sort of shrugs. He's like, "It sounds like a name for a board game."
That's really bad.
I'm sure it would be a very popular one.
Yeah,
yeah,
Mm,
probably.
eventually.
eventually, yeah, it has to go through a
Eventually.
research. first.
Yeah. It sort of has to be consigned as a thing enjoyed only by a very, very small amount of people, and then some rather well-known people have to play it, and then it'll, really
Don't
hit home.
pick up a-
But moving on, I guess we'll decide on. I guess we'll decide on how to deal with that a little later once we've had the full story. But for now, we should probably just take a short rest, have some food, And then because I assume it's evening already.
Yeah. It's mid-afternoon,
Mid-afternoon.
so
Oh, I guess we'll have an evening briefing. That's fine. A good night briefing.
Yeah.
Night briefing.
It's like a good
Oh yeah, a
night
good
story.
night briefing
It's like
about
you get
demons.
reports.
I'm sure that won't make it difficult to sleep.
Nah. It's
so
fine. The other dreams we've had.
yeah. With that, Sidani makes her excuses and sort of heads out to marshal troops and practice. Vondala goes back to sorting through the pile of mail on the small table in the lobby, leaving you guys sort of standing around, hands full of mail, pack still on your back.
Yeah. Elizabeth probably takes this time to more thoroughly read the letter. So actually she kind of got absorbed in conversation and only read like half of it. At which point she just does a massive smile and hugs it because she's weird.
No, that's cute.
And then she's probably like, you know what, I should probably A, write a response, B, I can't remember if I've done those scrolls yet. I can do them now.
Yeah, I don't think you wrote them on the journey, so.
So
you
yeah,
can certainly
I've got
spend
those
some
scrolls
time
to
doing
write down, and I've got this to reply to. So you guys probably know where to find me. I go there literally every time I have to write something. And she'll
the
probably like
library.
half run out the door.
that. Okay. So, what are the rest of you doing?
I mean, when Kelariis finishes her very, very short letter, there's just an extremely concerned look on her face.
Can I ask her what's wrong?
I don't know, can you?
Okay, shut up, Rob. Jeez,
Damn.
fast.
Sam.
God, is he trying to get to a teacher?
I guess I ask Kelariis what's the matter.
I'm not typically concerned by threats, but when they get sent to the place where we all live now, that's a bit more disconcerting. And I just kind of like turn the letter and
Yeah.
yeah, it's not very hard to read.
Okay.
Vondal like turns around, like looks up, and is just like, "That's oddly specific."
Yeah, I mean, you want to see it too? It's one line.
So it's to the point.
Yeah. I think the most not the most concerning thing. Well, the second most concerning thing, besides that they know where to find and address a letter to me, is that I don't know who could have written this right now. Thanks, Ferrous.
Sorry. I just.
You know, the fun
Yeah,
reminder.
I feel like that was necessary. 'Cause I'm not sure about you guys, but I'd completely forgotten what this letter said.
Ah. Yeah, I
Cough,
mean,
no, I hadn't.
Slayer is quite the term to throw around.
Yeah, that's not exactly a normal insult.
No.
Wow. I guess do we want to? I guess if we want to look into it, we could see like what kind of wax, what paper, that kind of stuff was used. Perhaps Elizabeth knows something about it, being a scholar and all.
Oh yeah, good point.
Oh. I
She
didn't
might
even
know
think about
something.
that.
At least pinpoint sort of an area where it might have come from.
Yeah, I didn't even. Yeah, I guess just. Maybe everybody should be aware that if somebody comes looking for me, that I'm sorry? And hopefully I'm here to take care of it!
Sorry?
Hmm. Well, at least we can probably rule out vengeful spirits, because they usually don't send a letter in advance.
No, I don't think they
No.
send letters.
I don't. Yeah.
Vondal sort of like steps over and sort of like takes a cursory look at the paper and just sort of says, "Well, at least in our history, there's, I mean, there aren't a huge amount of instances that I can think that we've killed anybody's direct kin. I mean, I suppose everyone we kill has direct kin, but it seems to me like there's somebody wrote you this message thinking perhaps that you'd make some connection, or they wanted you to remember something specific. I can't think of any other reason that you'd use that kind of language.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's way too pointed.
It's definitely personal.
It's not an idle threat.
No, it's not. I'm less concerned with the threat against myself and more that it may put others around me in danger, to be quite honest.
Well, we have a fortress. That's something.
Fortresses,
Yeah, we have walls
help,
now.
but, like, fortresses aren't amazing against, well, single-person intrusions. They're great against keeping mobs out and larger groups, but
Well, if you're thinking what I'm thinking, I guess we at least are going to double the guard for at least a few nights, just in case.
I guess we might try and figure out where this letter came from. If we know its its I wouldn't say destination. It was here, of course, but where it arrived from, at least we can figure out
Origin.
something. Yes.
Well,
'Cause if it's from the Dragonborn land, well, then it's probably Dragonborn. But if it's from one of the towns we've already been to, then we've probably pissed someone off in one of them.
Probably.
I mean, we did... Oh god, I'm forgetting their, I forget the brother's name, but there was Temerity and her brother. What was his name?
oh, good. Yeah, what? That's a good question.
It's in my notes, like,
Morthos.
why I'm not gonna
But hold on, sorry, doesn't kinslayer imply that you slayed your own kin?
Okay, so this is the conversation that Minnie and I had after our session last time, and we didn't know which it was leaning towards. But it is Ferrous. It is written in common, right?
It is written in common, yes.
Okay. And I
In
guess
block
I probably
capitals.
in block capitals in common, and this. It was sealed. Was there a stamp on the seal, or was it just wax on like a thing?
Just wax sealed. Yeah, like no sigil or anything. Just wax sealed.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I feel like kinslayer implies that you slayed someone that you're related.
Oh.
I don't know about that happening.
See that the problem is there are two types of kinslayers. The slayer you can have slain mine kin or your kin.
Yes.
No,
but,
I
like-
feel like
but-
if it was if kinslayer is very specific that you slayed your own kin. Like, as far as I understand it, it's like I don't think you can apply that to someone who killed like your brother or whatever.
Well, I was thinking more in the sense of, well, not specific, not necessarily just family, because your kin can also be your like just people from your race.
Can it?
Sometimes that people refer to it like that, but it's not as common. But who knows?
Yeah, I feel like the most common is like kill someone from your own family.
Yeah, it's definitely the most common, but is it also the one used? That's the real question.
From a world clarity point of perspective, it would not be uncommon for somebody to refer to their race as kin.
Ha.
Okay.
Oh no.
To the point where kin is like a word that is interchangeable for race in some cultures.
Okay.
Well, that became mildly more concerning with that clarification. But
Well, that was what we thought already, but
yeah, but like having that clarification and knowing beyond just us theorizing that throwing shit out last time, to know that that's a way that's actually like decently commonly used, or like reasonable to think that may be the way it's being used. I think that at this time, it may just be a good idea to keep on the lookout for anyone or people that may be coming and seeming a bit hostile. But if
If anyone shouts Kinslayer at the walls. No.
Yeah, maybe call me.
Be like,
God, it's going to be Barrel Boy's brother.
No.
And this is crazy.
Oh my god. That would be such a fucking long time coming.
No, that would be too much. But
That would be a lot.
no, I think
I mean, yeah.
well, like unless you have an idea of who it is, we're probably better off analyzing what we actually have for now. We should probably get this to Elizabeth as quickly as possible. Then, at least ask her if she can do anything.
Yeah.
Vondal sort of turns to the rest of you and sort of says, "Well, if there's anything I can do, then just let me know. But anybody else got any threats?" Sort of like indicates your letters.
Well, I am the biggest concern is getting ambushed by hugs when I get home, but that's about it.
That sounds like the opposite of a problem.
Turns to Arya, who's like leafing through her essay that she's got.
Yeah, I got a long letter. Yeah. I'll probably have a response to send out. But nothing to answer.
That would have been like such a power move if one of us had gotten, one of us had gotten like the opposite of Kelariis' letter, where it was just a extremely long-winded threat.
Mine was not
Like
a threat.
2 pages of threat.
Yeah,
that would be
most flowery language.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Shakespearean style insults.
I bite my thumb at you, star.
I bite my thumb at thee, thy vile, knavish rogue.
Villain, what hast thou done? I had stunned thou mother. That's actually a Shakespearean insult.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's actually
It's so good though.
You know what the best part about Shakespeare is? The fact that it proves how timeless dick jokes are.
That's true.
No matter what era you look at, if you're looking at a comedy play, there's probably dick jokes.
Always a dick joke.
And I should know, I did ancient Greek comedy. That shit was full of dick jokes.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, seems about right.
The kind of dick joke of spending an entire scene going, "Hey, I can see your erection through your robe." No, you can't. Dick falls out.
Okay.
Wow.
Well,
What
I thought you
was
were-
that?
I thought you were gonna go with the "Hey lady, I'm a goose."
No, that's not a play. That was a myth.
Anyway.
Oh my god.
And the only plays that got written about myths were tragedies.
So, you are left standing in a room. Vondal goes back to sorting the last of the letters, and
Yeah.
I take it you go and find Elizabeth.
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be hard to find.
She's in her room, I think.
The hardest part is gonna be getting her attention.
True. I mean, if you knock hard enough on any door, you get somebody's attention eventually, so.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So, clock wipe.
Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I will wait for everybody else to finish, like, reading their letters, particularly Arya's essay that she apparently
Hello.
received.
I can walk and read.
Yeah, that's
Fair.
fine.
So, Elizabeth, there is a knock at your door.
That's probably swiftly followed by a clattering of something falling on the floor and muttered cursing.
I mean, don't be alarmed. It's just us.
Yeah, she won't open the door and goes, "Oh, hi guys. Coming in
Sorry.
force."
I mean, if you don't mind, we can also do this in the hallway, I guess.
Well, I mean, the rooms aren't big, but like, sure, let's step aside.
Well, we might as well ask what we came to ask first.
Oh, yeah. Do you have any way of, I guess, tracing where parchment or wax may have come from? Or knowing those sorts of things? I don't.
Well, I mean, if I don't know something, I usually know where to find out about it.
Yeah,
with
I
that-
mean, I guess I pull out the letter and just say, you know, there's probably.
Oh, wow, that's blunt.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I can respect how blunt that is, but there are also not a lot of leads because of that, and I'd prefer not to put people around me in danger because somebody has a grudge against me, and apparently knows where to send mail for me.
Yeah, that's very appropriate. I should probably go sit down.
Okay.
I guess we, like, shuffle in.
Squeeze.
Yeah.
I'll just leave you to it, and I'll
Please.
hear how.
Oh, you can. Grim, shut up, you can fit in here.
You totally fit there.
Grim doesn't even have to squeeze.
No,
Put him
he's
on the
too
bed.
small.
Ah, sure.
Sit Grim on the bed.
Yeah, that'll be the same height as everyone.
Wow.
That's sizes.
Well, the truth
It's
is,
not,
I
it's
wouldn't.
just a statement of
I would not
truth.
I wouldn't even be the same height as everyone else. I'd still be
Yeah,
shorter.
Kelariis.
Well, that depends. Yeah, how high up is the bed?
Not
Probably
3
not
feet.
that high.
Yeah,
Yeah, probably not that high.
it's just like a regular bed.
I mean, I could just like lift Grim if we really want him to be tall.
I mean, I am telling you, we need to get you the standing harness.
yeah, I guess that's true.
Just need to get some ups. It's fine.
Anyway,
So, Elizabeth, you sort of spread your things out across your already item-strewn desk. Arya,
if
you
we
sort
just
of
like sweeps a load of room and then accidentally knocks more bits of paper
yeah,
onto
just
the floor.
crash, 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 like all of the pencils, just like.
Yeah, she's like, that's fine. I'll pick 'em up later.
Okay.
It's like a book falls over. Arya, you sort of like perch on this like heavy wooden chest. Kelariis is like slouches in the corner. Grim's like standing next to you. I guess the closest thing to this would be a history check.
Cool. I'm good at those. Watch that. I fuck it up now. Touch wood.
Yeah, I was like, don't say that before you rolled it.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's pretty good.
So, there's a couple of things you notice about the letter just from a cursory examination. The stains on the letter are you suspect charcoal. Which, considering the message is written in ink, is a little curious.
Yeah.
The paper itself is it's unembellished, it's fairly simplistic, and it looks probably mass-produced, so it's not
Not luxurious parchment.
it's not luxurious parchment, so it says perhaps something about its writer.
Not exactly rich.
And the quality of the paper suggests it basically it's low quality paper, so it could have been picked up from any sort of corner store. The wax seal is particularly interesting because it's not done in sealing wax; it's done in candle wax.
Dun dun.
Sealing wax is generally more viscous, and generally tends to like adhere better. But this has clearly slipped and has, by the way it's left, sort of like almost like a greasy stain on the envelope and the letter underneath. you suspect that candle is produced from some sort of rendered animal tallow. The curious thing that suggests to you is the kinds of places that produce candles from rendered animal tallow tend to be primarily farming regions. So that would suggest to you that it's not a sort of... it kind of rules out the northern sort of areas of the world, which suggests it's probably more likely from the south. And yeah, probably, if you had to make a wager, it's probably of human manufacture.
Hmm. Is that everything then?
Yeah, that's quite a lot that you can tell from a single letter. But
Oh yeah, definitely.
as a wizard and therefore a connoisseur of paper,
Yeah. And also as one who carries much fine parchment.
yes.
10 sheets of it, in fact.
Yeah.
Anyway. You should probably just start up and go, okay. Noteworthy things. One, pretty poor quality. So whoever sent it is either not very rich or pretending to not be very rich. It's not actually using sealing wax, it's using candle wax. But my best guess it's from a human community to the south.
I think, like, I kind of blinked for a second, and just, to be honest, that was more than I was expecting to get for anybody to get from a letter. Thank you.
Well, I mean, the candle wax, isn't that? And also, like, look at the difference. She like gets out a sheet of her own paper. And goes, I mean, look at the difference. There's like, it's so obvious.
I nod very slowly, like,
To everyone except Grim, it's like, yeah, those are both sheets of paper.
Yup.
Grim, you have some experience with quality of paper.
Yep. Like the only other person that might appreciate it is one though.
Yeah. And then she sort of carries on, just like, and the way the wax has stained the paper, it's not proper sealing wax. It's candle wax. Also, I don't know why there's charcoal stains on here. That's a bit weird. Because they've written it in ink.
Right.
I have no idea why there'd be charcoal stains on it.
Well, let's see. What else do you use chart? Well, you either write it by the campfire, but like, how do you get?
I mean, unless whoever wrote it was a miner and still had charcoal all over their fingers.
Yeah. What? Yeah.
But then again, why does that explain that doesn't really explain the candle? Like, it's from what it's made of. It's clearly from a more rural community.
Yeah, I'm assuming whoever wrote it, like, they don't have a lot of resources.
No, probably not.
It's a settlement. Well, you said a human settlement, perhaps.
It's my best guess as to who would have made it.
Yeah,
Or at least the wax.
the human part is a vague supposition based on the fact that it's from rendered animal tallow, but
Well,
Yeah.
The
And-
only thing that I could even
Like-
think of right now is that somebody misinterpreted Kelariis' story in her home village, but even then, that seems a little extreme.
What do you mean?
I thought Kelariis' family were more fishing folk, aren't they? I don't know how
Yeah.
much farming your village
Yeah.
did.
I think
If you're that close to the sea, then there's not really that
yeah,
much
we
point.
basically did
farming.
fishing.
Yeah, well, it's still kind of rural, but like it is a like very poor guess.
I mean, you guys have been south before.
yeah.
Is there nowhere else further south that would?
So, human communities to the south is there's quite a lot of it. I will just sort of point that out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
But like almost all of you, the humans
Like,
are to the south.
all of this bit.
Yep.
I mean, the best place to start are the places we've been before, and there are about 3 on this map, so...
Yeah.
Well, I guess 4 if you also count the Forbidden City, but that's not human.
We
and-
never went to the Forbidden City though.
Also, sure,
Oh.
we went to the weird ziggurat. You're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Forbidden
That is
City you
right.
did
So
not
we've
go
been to 3.
Yeah. That leaves our options of people who possibly know us, or people who would have more chance of knowing you than anybody else, is Renshire, Roxgate, and Marden.
Mhm.
And I guess if we're
was
taking
very
the wording
far
as,
east, eh?
and I guess based on the word, and I guess if we're looking at the wording, did you kill any Dragonborn in those areas?
Not a dragonborn, but we did fight a group that included a half dragon. Renge.
You know, I'm sure to most people that's close enough. Not,
Yeah,
not that
but,
I
like-
think it's close enough.
Is
and, you
it?
know.
I
I mean,
don't feel like
not to me it's not, but I mean to someone who just sees you as a dragon-like person, yeah, probably.
Some of my friends are
But
Dragonborn.
like how many?
Yeah, I've got
Oh.
friends to it.
But, like, how many people would be like know like the half dragon and be dispassionate about retaliating,
Yeah, I feel like not a lot.
like, and not know the difference?
I
on
mean-
top of that,
As an addendum to that, how many of them that knew the half dragon that are still alive?
well, like the half dragon probably knew people outside of Roy's Gate. Like,
Yes.
they may have. So
Renge.
that is always a possibility.
Yeah, in fact, you know that for sure. Because they definitely mentioned having contacts.
And
Like,
like,
almost
you didn't,
everyone knows at least someone.
and you
from-
didn't kill all of them, did you?
Of the group? No, I think we left... Was Temerity the only one that we ended up leaving alive?
Temerity and Creed. Although Creed hideously named.
Yeah, Creed lost an arm.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
So yeah,
I
she just
remember
goes.
Temerity
"Couldn't-
was very upset and tried to charm me, which is why I specifically remember
Yeah.
that.
It couldn't be one of them, could it?
I guess?
Oh, how? Okay, we could just send a letter asking if they're still imprisoned, and it would take weeks, but we get an answer.
True. Yeah, I mean, I guess that is one way to go about it, huh?
That's one weird letter to receive.
Ferrous, can you remind me about, like, half dragons in particular, or at least what I would know about them, because I don't remember. In the sense of how they may or may not be related to Dragonborn, I guess?
In a biological sense, the similarity ends at the fact that you are both draconic descendants. A half-dragon is a direct union between a dragon who takes a human form and a humanoid form and another humanoid. Dragonborn are a bit of a weird one because whilst technically they have draconic aspects, their actual draconic bloodline is incredibly watered down compared to a half-dragon. So if Dragonborn are closer to being like 1/8 dragon, but a half-dragon would never sire a dragonborn and vice versa.
Right, okay.
Well, there is this one thing that also may. So, like, remember when we noticed you collecting a skill from Fallen? Well, the half dragon, dragonborn, that kind of stuff.
I don't think we noticed that.
We talked about it at one point.
You know that Kelariis has at least one scale because she took it from the dragonborn, or the
Yeah,
the half dragon. Sorry, And
They've
you,
also seen my holy.
yeah, your holy symbol, which is etched onto the scale of the Blue Dragonborn.
Oh. Never mind then.
So that might be misinterpreted by some, but I guess no. No,
Unlikely.
it's not likely now.
But it sounds it. This seems too personal to just be somebody who's like, you.
I mean,
random
you didn't.
person that I have seen and misinterpreted a story about.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
do you have any childhood rivals who may be looking? I mean, you know, Thalithsyr came looking for you. Maybe someone else who didn't like you is looking for you.
Thinks about the entire Dragonborn army, but also
Yeah.
knowing that they're not actually hunting me down in any way, as far as I know. But also, I did not murder any of them. The
Yep.
only Dragonborn.
Yeah,
that
are
I-
we sure, like, you've never killed a Dragonborn, just like...
Yes, I have, but it. But this seems. But if this is coming from like a human settlement, probably, maybe.
Well, they may just be They may be passing through a human settlement, learning about
Perhaps.
us.
Yeah, I mean, if
Like,
it's someone looking from you, they may just be chasing rumors for the time being. Because think about it,
Yes.
if you're chasing someone down who's, you know, a Rona's Dragonborn, what, like, you know, who's the like the first place you're gonna look for is rumors of a Rona's Dragonborn.
Yes, but also to not write in Draconic to write in Common, to me is either very deliberate choice or they don't know the
Makes-
language to write it.
Makes it a lot less personal.
Yes, and I feel like with a
Yeah.
message like this, if you're going that far, if you knew the language and it was coming, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't write a letter to threaten somebody, but if I was and I knew that they could speak Draconic, I would write it in that language.
Although I suppose as well, it's more personal. It'd be more personal to write it in Draconic, but maybe they also don't want to be that subtle.
Unsubtle, you mean?
No.
No?
No, so like writing it in common would be the more unsubtle option.
Well, no, like
Because
It's
think about it,
common
right?
gives-
Let's think about it. If it's someone who is chasing down you via rumors or whatever, they'd also have heard rumors of your followers. So writing it in common is also like kind of like a threat to them. I don't know. Honestly, I'm clueless. I'm just making stuff up as I go.
yeah, that we can tell.
Hey,
Damn.
Um,
almost as blunt as that letter.
that's what I do best.
Speaking of which, and I'll actually hand Kelariis the letter back,
Thanks.
just over Grim's head.
in case you couldn't remember what was in. It might be good to keep it on you.
I mean, it's Kelariis' letter. And plus, Elizabeth knows it'd freak her out if it got left on her desk, and then like 2 days later she was rifling through paper and suddenly saw that.
Yeah, that is fair. I mean,
Well, I think that like for the time being, we're not actually gonna figure out who sent this. So
Yeah,
what we
don't
can
think
do is one, we sent that letter just because it's not gonna cost us a ton of money, and it's good. Well, it's good to check up anyway. Two, if we really want to, we can try and hire someone to investigate, because I don't think we're gonna want to spend too much time on this ourselves, but I don't know how much that would help us.
I mean, to be quite honest, I am perfectly content to let them come and find me and deal with it then. But I do not want to put anybody here or anybody else in danger because that's the only concern that I have at this point.
In order to, well, kind of alleviate that, we could warn them in, what's it again. In the nearby place.
Ivywood Market.
Ivywood Market.
Yes, we could warn them and tell them to send them directly to you, or like,
Thanks. Yeah.
well, like, or if somebody's asking for you, like, just to beware,
Yeah,
you
just-
know.
Oh,
And then-
by the way, if someone turns up trying to murder someone, just send them our way.
No, you don't ask them for if they're gonna murder someone. If they're asking, where can I find Kelariis Greysurge? Then you're like, okay, I just need, just like, you know, think about it. They might be
I
dangerous.
thought they'd know that anyway.
I think, Grim, you have to take a payment into town, or do you send that by? I assume you don't send that. By mail.
Well, I feel like we're gonna make a big deposit, so we might as well. It might be good to have at least one of us traveling along with it. As much as I would like to trust everyone here,
So
these mercenaries are a little green. And
as you're having this discussion, there's another knock at the door.
I'm sorry, who organised a party in my room without telling me? It's like the worst possible place. You know, I'm gonna stop picking all this up because honestly, like, this is a mess.
well, I guess
Right.
we'll see who it is and then head to
Yeah.
the war room.
Okay. Kelariis, you open the door, and Tallithsyr is on the other side. She's sort of like looking at you and says, I thought I heard you guys talking. I didn't realize you were back already.
We didn't get back very long ago. We got a little sidetracked. I'm sorry. I meant to come and see you right away.
That's okay.
Is everything okay?
Yeah, fine.
That doesn't sound like the tone of voice of someone who's fine, and I should know because I employ that tone of voice all the time.
No, I really genuinely am fine.
See, a person who is genuinely fine wouldn't have paused there. And they also wouldn't have sounded really, really concerned.
Well, I will admit I am slightly concerned because, I mean, you guys are all sort of standing in here, like, speaking kind of loudly about stuff that sounds, well, kind of dangerous, and I'm the only person in the barracks at the moment, but I can hear you.
Oh.
We are.
We're
I am
bad
a
at keeping
little
our voices
loud.
down.
So, yeah, color me a little concerned.
That's the only thing you're concerned about, though, right?
Yes.
I'm still
Well,
not convinced.
I guess. How about you? We'll head
Can I
out
actually
to the
insight
war
check
room.
that?
You can insight check that.
Well, let's do that inside check.
Oh!
Okay.
Oh, shit.
Jesus Christ.
Well,
Yeah, she's just genuinely concerned about you and is a bit surprised at having the Spanish Inquisition directed at her.
Not
Wow.
Spanish Inquisition.
No, everybody
Expects
expects the Ganassi Inquisition.
Wow.
what I was gonna suggest is, how about we all just head over to the war room? Like, you can come to if you want to.
Sure.
And we'll continue there.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna at least, you know, pick all this stuff up off the floor.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, you'll get there eventually. Well,
I mean, I knocked.
Okay. Well, I
we'll-
guess I'll go on ahead and I'll see you guys in a minute.
Yeah, well, I guess we might as well walk with you. Elizabeth
Yeah.
can take care of things here.
I think
Yeah,
we
I mean,
just-
I mean, I'm not
Okay.
exactly fighting ogres here, you know. I can tidy up a mess on my own. I'll just meet you guys there.
Okay.
All right.
So, you guys head across. And, yeah, sort of take your seats around the table, or stand around the table. Sarah sort of like looks over all of you and just sort of says, "So, I didn't really get the whole thing, but it sounds like some of us are in danger.
Yeah.
Well, specifically Kelariis.
Yeah, I should go with it.
Well,
Tallithsyr
you
folds
say
her arms.
Well, you say specifically Kelariis, but I would say Ferrous you should definitely watch out as well because
Well, yeah.
you're
I mean,
considering your relation to Kelariis, it would be another way to try and get to Kelariis.
I mean, I think all of you are, but
Yeah, but we know already now, so
yes. But we also stand out a bit more in these areas than others may. Looking at the Ferrous specifically.
Looking at the dwarf and the blue-skinned lady and the elf with the wolf.
Yeah. I mean, we all do, but also, like, if somebody's looking for a Dragonborn, some people may make the assumption, oh, there's one here, let's find the other one who definitely knows this one, which, to be fair, in this case would be true, but...
Okay, there we go. My room no longer looks like a bomb site.
Fantastic.
What's a bomb?
You know what? I don't know.
it's a fireball in a box.
Ooh.
But yes, moving on.
So there's somebody coming here who's looking for Dragonborn in particular?
I think specifically me, it seems,
I mean, surely it's easier to just, show the thing we're all talking about rather than try to explain
Yeah.
it.
I was getting there. It's not a lot to show.
No, it's not.
One of the letters, well, the only letter that was addressed to me was not a very pleasant one. And I guess I just kind of just fucking passing around this letter today.
just like fold it out on the table.
Yeah, just put it out there. We just leave it there at this point.
So sort of like looks at it and goes, well, that's weirdly specific.
I agree.
Yeah, you wouldn't happen to recognize the handwriting?
What does that have to do with anything?
I don't really think it has handwriting.
Yeah, it's just, like, everyone in the world can write like that.
Well, like,
It's not like, you're just writing a casual letter where everyone kind of has a somewhat distinctive style.
everybody has a distinctive style in everything. However, even though I imagine the odds to be slim, I might as well ask. Like, worst case, it's a no.
No,
Well, I could write a letter like that. I mean, come on.
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's okay. I mean, Elizabeth has managed to figure out that it's high chances are it's someone who, at least when they were sending the letter or when they wrote this letter, were in the south-ish area. Just based on the candle wax that was used to seal it, and just kind of like looking at Elizabeth to make sure I got that detail right.
Yep.
How does that work?
Oh, because it was made from a specific material that is more likely to be used by farmers in a human community. Just from what the wax was and what it was made out of. Why do I always get looked at like I'm weird?
Say
I mean-
some weird things sometimes, friend.
I mean,
You're not alone.
if you can work that out from just candle wax, that's kind of impressive, I guess. I don't really understand the connection.
Well, it was an attempt to figure out who they might be and, well, where they might be.
Yeah.
Just currently our sender has no face nor name.
Could
We
you
just have the very non-specific handwriting and angry tone of voice and the paper and the wax.
could you use magic to find that out?
I would hope so, but
I mean, I'm not exactly the most practiced, but I don't know, that seems like a thing you can do. I mean, when we were in Mud and Vondal could find people.
That's a good point. It may have to be more specific. I'm not.
Yeah, I think a lot of things would need more specific information. To locate a specific person, you'd usually need something. Yeah, way more specific. I basically just repeated myself there.
Yeah, we can't. I don't think we can. I guess we can. Like reading minds is an option, but that's not a very quick option.
I mean, I'm just throwing ideas around here. I don't.
I mean, whose mind would we read to get information on this letter? No one we know would have any more information. Otherwise, we would have just asked.
Well,
them.
I meant as in like the only option I could think of right now is walking around reading random people's minds. But
That feels like an invasion of privacy.
That's Also, it seems like a very, very inefficient choice.
Yeah.
But it's an idea nonetheless.
Also, like, it'd take days.
I didn't even know you could read people's minds.
Oh, you can with magic. I can't. Well, people can't read my my mind though.
I could, but I do not like. I would not like to.
No, Kelariis breaks minds.
Wait, hold on. I mean, I guess we could try to ask Mondal if he could potentially scry this person, but I don't know if we have enough. I don't think we have nearly enough information to do that right now. But it is definitely something to keep in mind.
Yeah, usually the magic like that would require, a name, a face, more specific information on who exactly they are, like having met them.
Well, like, there's also I remember he really wanted to use this spell called Legend Lore at one point. Is there like a lesser Legend Lore thing?
Not that I know of. And also,
thing is a legend.
Yeah, this is not a
like,
legend right here.
No, that's what I'm trying to ask. As in a non-legendary lore, kind of, as in like track the past of an item.
No spell that I know of.
But it's worth a shot.
I mean, right now it's just a matter of being aware. I guess somebody is looking to come after me for revenge, and that it may lead to the rest of you or other people here being brought in, which I would like to avoid.
Well, there is one pertinent question as well. Whilst we're dealing with this, I assume we want to stay here, if we can. Because if you're out and about, and they do something.
I mean, in some ways, I would almost hope that they would follow and not interfere here.
Yeah, but
that's taking a gamble, and
I feel like they would see this as the best source of information, although it is not a safe option by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
If not for the mercenaries, Vandal is like a one-man army as well.
I don't know, if I was hunting you, I guess I'd kind of want to do it when you were out and about. I mean, it's a lot easier to sneak past 4 people than it is 20.
That's true.
Especially when there's walls in the way.
Yeah.
And you know what? Just for the sake of, safety, I suppose, I'm gonna try something.
excuse me.
You know what? We're going better safe than sorry with this thing. If there's anything magical about it, let's fucking find out.
Oh yes, I wanted to mention that earlier, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, like the letter itself, yeah.
Yeah, and I would like to ritual cast Identify on it.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Can you roll me the description of Identify?
Yeah. I mean, it's literally just...
If it is a
If
magic
it's
item
magic
or
or
some
has
other
any
magic
magic
imbued
cast on it.
object.
Yeah, so if it's got magic on it or is magical,
Okay.
then I find out what it is.
You spend 10 minutes ritual casting Identify. It is not magical.
Okay, good. Nothing magical about it. I'll take
I mean, if we do go
There
elsewhere...
is one thing.
Sorry.
Not magical and no spells affecting it.
Could probably, assuming they are a magic caster, that is, they could probably use use it to be like locate the letter. Use magic if they are familiar with this letter.
Perhaps.
But then they still knew
so-
where to send it in the first place, so...
Yes, but what I'm saying is that that means we should perhaps keep it on Kelariis just in case they're tracking the letter, or we can send the letter away from divert them. But I feel like we just want to deal with this as quickly as possible.
I was gonna say, yeah, if that's the kind of thing you're fearing, then the easy answer is to just burn the letter, because then they can't locate it, because it doesn't exist. It's just a pile of ash.
No, but right now it's the only thing that we have to say, like, hey, somebody's out looking.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm not gonna burn it.
Yeah. Well, and it was also like if they're tracking it, which I kind of doubt it, but then we might as well keep it on Kelariis just to make sure they don't accidentally go after Vundal or Visera or anyone else who might be in the keep or leaving the keep. More importantly,
You think that with a letter that precise, they'd know which Dragonborn they're looking for?
Thisira sort of like
Or at the very least, know
gestures.
they're looking for a Dragonborn.
Thisira
That is
gestures
not-
to you,
that's
Grim,
not-
and sort of says, "Couldn't, in theory as well, we could perhaps even use it to, if that is the way they're doing it, to bait a trap."
That's what I was thinking, maybe a better idea.
See, as much as as great as that sounds, we don't know if we would have to set that trap up for weeks, days, months. Maybe as soon as we leave the door.
I mean, to
We
be
have
quite
that-
honest, if we are going out to do anything, what may be best, and as much as I hate to do it, is to make a bunch of noise about where I will be and where I am headed. Because if that can draw them out, and if they decide to make a move, then that solves us a lot of trouble of tracking them down first.
I would be okay with that. Just trying to think of anything now.
Also, a thing to point out about spells that locate things, they usually have a limited range. So it's not like they can track us from, like, the other side of the realm.
I guess that's
They'd have to be within a decent distance of us anyway. Like, I don't think they could track us from outside of a fucking town, for that matter.
Well, Grim, if you're headed back to Ivywood Market at some point to make a payment, I may go with you to see if anybody noticed anyone that may have stood out or was a Dragonborn in the town, because I imagine that there are not a lot. And if that is the case, then I mean that kind of narrows it down a little bit.
well. Wait, aren't there? Like Ivywood Market is like a busy trade town, so there might be more people than or like the. So it wasn't there another dragon? No, oh no, the one other Dragonborn is the one that's right in the room now. I remember now.
Yeah, because I feel like the last time we went there, it was of note enough that Tallithsyr was there to say, like, oh, there's a Dragonborn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another one. So, like, to me, that said that, oh, there's not really a lot of Dragonborn here very often. So,
Well,
Yeah, the Dragonborn tend to stick to their side of the border.
yeah.
I have just had another, like, potentially stupid, like, this is more of an out of character question, but the letter was in, like, little pieces, wasn't it? Or, like, it was kind of a tatty letter.
Yeah, it was not like particularly. It was never a well-kept piece of paper to start with. Let's put it that way, and it's
I'm almost wondering if
been scribbled on,
casting-
got holes punched through it.
Yeah, because I'm almost wondering if casting Mending would actually have any effect on this letter. Because
You
then
can
that we can't see
certainly try.
because it's damaged.
Kind of doubt
sure.
that.
but even if you mend it, it doesn't mend the ink.
It won't
Yeah.
restore any missing ink. Yes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So you'd have more paper, which...
Yeah, didn't think there'd be much point in doing that, but I might as well ask.
You can certainly try.
I mean, I suppose it's a cantrip. Doesn't hurt.
Okay. You absent-mindedly cast Mending on all the phrase edges of the bit of paper. It'll take a while.
Yeah. Considering each casting of mending is a minute.
But thinking about, we're making a big deal out of this, but I think the main thing we just need to do is just tell everyone to don't go alone. Be sure to always have at least one other. Yeah, just always have at least one other person on the shield.
I guess
And,
be on.
Yeah.
Be on medium alert.
Well, be wary.
Just be aware.
Low alert.
No, low alert doesn't.
Well, it's
normal
basically
alert, average alert.
It's like if you see something fishy, it's in like mention it instead of it's probably fine alert.
Your conversation is interrupted by the clanging of metal from outside.
Oh, is that?
If I slightly open this door next to me, is that something happening in the pit?
No.
I assume
Those are
it's
the
It-
that's
like-
not from downstairs.
As in from like outside of the window behind Grim.
Oh right.
Oh, the dinner clip.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I
That.
assume when I was clanging the pot again was his hammer. Well, I guess that should be it for now, and then we'll hear
We're not
what
exactly
the others
getting
have to say.
Yeah. I guess we're not really getting anywhere with this conversation. Although I suppose there's one important detail. To whom do we mention this? Are we just going to tell everyone?
Well, there's no reason not to. Like, what's...
Maybe
Fair.
necessarily details, but just say that.
Threat has been made against the guild member. Beware.
I mean,
Cool.
you do have 12 loyal soldiers plus previous companions, so...
Cool. Right. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of hungry.
Yes. Well, let's head for dinner and then then we can have a briefing afterwards.
Okay. You guys head downstairs to dinner.
Guess we'll sit with the others.
Okay. So, as food is served and you guys tuck in, Sidani sits down, sort of like opposite you, Grim, like shuffles across the bench to talk with you. Sort of leans in and says, "So, did you want to hear more about this whole thing that I found out now, or shall we wait until later?"
I guess. Well, if you think it's of importance to others, we might as well call them to sit with us, and then they know as well.
Well, I can kind of explain it to you, and if you think there's anything important about it, then...
Then I'll just share it. I guess that's true. Oh, go ahead.
So, I was talking with some traders that were coming up through Ivywood Market. I was getting my hands on some supplies, and they rolled in. They seemed like an interesting bunch. Not your average sort of like trade travelers. Couple of half elves and some dwarves, and I kind of overheard them having a conversation about something that happened down in Castport, actually, as they were arriving on their ships. Apparently some old fisherman had been out in his boat near the Blackmount Isles. It's basically like a small cluster of islands off the coast of Castport. Basically like about as north as you can get before you reach the current coast. I don't really know if you know where that is.
I think I have a rough idea, but That is that will figure it out. I'll figure it out later.
Well, basically, this old guy, he'd been out on his boat fishing, and he'd been out on near one of these islands, that supposedly is haunted by demons, and apparently he'd seen another boat sort of docked up on the side of the island, and sort of wondering if they were in distress, he sailed on over to have a look, because I mean, who in their right mind would land on an island supposedly haunted by demons?
Oh, I know a few.
Wow.
True though.
So he pulls up alongside this boat, and it's basically deserted, but it looks in working order. So he goes aboard. He doesn't find anyone, and sort of curiosity gets the better of him, and he sort of wanders down to the shore, and it's there that he spots in the distance a bunch of weird robed figures. They're sort of carrying supplies and wandering around. And so the thing about the Blackmount Isles is some of them used to be, I think they're called volcanoes. Basically like mountains that the top of them are hollow, and they've got like a whole bunch of molten rock inside.
Fiery mountains.
Yeah.
Can't believe we're going to Hawaii.
Yeah, I know, right?
Hawaii, but full of demons.
So
I mean, you say that as if we don't already have weird mythology of that sort.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure there's some demon mythology.
Yeah, but the key thing is it's mythology.
So he spies these strange figures, and they're in the process of like lugging supplies like halfway up this volcanic mountain, and supposedly as the sun was coming up over the mountains, he saw what looked like a strange, like I guess like a manor house on the island, which is interesting in and of itself, because I don't know how long ago those places were abandoned, but you think those places would be sort of all fallen apart by now. But apparently this place looked pretty well kept. And he was sort of interested in going to investigate, but apparently then at this point the story got a little bit fuzzy, and I couldn't tell whether the guys were just embellishing what it was that they said, because half of them maintained that the volcano erupted, and then the other half said a bunch of demons showed up, and then some of them couldn't decide whether or not both things had happened at the same time. And you know that feeling when somebody's telling you a story and you're pretty sure they're bullshitting you to try and impress you? That was kind of the feeling I was getting by that point, but the first half of the story seemed genuine. So, I don't know. I just figured hooded figures and an island full of demons sounds kind of like the stuff you guys chased all that time ago.
Yeah. It does set off some alarms. I feel like it is something we can't ignore. However, I also acknowledge that I need to make sure that we deal with our current situation first.
Yeah, Vandal was saying something about that. Is everything okay?
Everything should be fine, but we should warn everyone to be a little wary, as one of us received a threat, and it seems to be very personal. So I doubt they would go after anyone else. But it's might as well just make sure that people, don't walk out alone, and just generally be aware. So it would be unfortunate if if anything were to happen due to them not being aware of the situation.
Sidani sort of like sits up straighter on her bench and sort of says, "Okay, well."
And like I trust, like Even though we probably don't have to reveal all details to the rest of the mercenaries, but I thought you might as well know a little more considering your your position. Because the problem is, like, we are currently not really sure who made this threat. So it could be basically anyone that is in the local, which is a very broad range of people. But
Okay. Well,
on the other hand, well, like I said before, they're probably not going to go after, you or the others.
well. I mean, we're basically one big family at this point. It's kind of hard not to take that personally. I mean, like a threat against one of us, I mean.
Of course, yes, I understand that, but for now, we've decided there's not much we can do. All we know is that they are, or at least when they said that they were in the south, in a most likely rural community. Don't seem too well off. However, looks can be deceiving. So
I'll second that.
that is,
Well,
Oh, and I will ask Vandalf for some help with the letter, but that's fine.
I'll make sure everyone's on guard and, well, I'm starting to get a little bit chummy with some of the locals. I'll see what feelers I can put out.
If anybody asks for Kelariis, beware. Yes,
Okay.
or just probably Dragonborn in general.
She nods, so says, I'll keep an eye out where I can, and both eyes where elsewhere.
Yes. Well, let's dig in.
Yeah,
Let's
it's
begin.
getting kind of cold. And so, you eat your meal. And yeah, after dinner, sort of, Sidani sort of stands up, gets the attention of everyone, and sort of relays what it is that you said to the rest of the mercenaries, and sort of says, so, I want everyone keeping a weather eye out, and anything suspicious, you report it straight away, either to myself or the boss. Is that understood? Everyone just sort of nods. Alright. Well, you've all done a good job today, so take the evening off and get some sleep.
Oh, and I'll also like quickly mention to Vandal or ask if we can send a letter to what was it called? Inrook? What?
Renshire?
Oh, yeah, Renshire. That's the one. I would say Rogue's Gate, but that's the wrong one.
That is
Yeah, Vondal sort of nods and says, that's easily enough to do.
Just an inquiry if they still two prisoners and their current states, if they are still imprisoned or other important information.
Okay, I'll let them know.
That would be appreciated. Oh, and of course, in case you missed something, just fill them in on the
Yeah.
letter details.
He sort of nods and says, well, that certainly makes sense.
Oh.
I wonder perhaps if this ambiguity is intentional.
Maybe so.
Like, in my opinion, it is kind of weird to send a letter in advance in this way.
Hmm.
But on the other hand, Kelariis' actions can also be a mystery to me sometimes.
Hey.
So I will.
Kelariis turns on the bench like, I can still hear you.
So who knows? It might just be a cultural thing.
A cultural thing.
Wow.
Wow.
Also, that's making the big assumption that we have definitely not confirmed that this is another Dragonborn.
Yeah, I know.
No, but I'm not saying that this is a like a Dragonborn thing. I'm just saying, like, cultures can be mysterious to outsiders. Therefore, this might just be like the way that it's done. You send the
Maybe.
threats in advance, and then you show up.
It's not that odd to call out your grudges and make
Yeah.
them know. That's
mean,
not,
it's
like
like-
the weirdest thing.
It's like
No,
pirates.
From a strategic standpoint, that makes no sense.
No,
Yeah, but it's
if
it's like pirates.
You lose all your surprise.
yeah, but if
fools.
if your goal is to just get revenge, I don't necessarily think surprise is the biggest concern.
Yeah.
Oh no, but like
if
this
you-
was just like a Grim in character get to
No,
it. Like,
I know that. Kelariis
yeah.
is also
Yeah.
responding.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And Elizabeth is
Yeah.
in guide to go. I mean, it's like pirates.
Hmm.
They kind of send, pirate crews will send each other like heads up if they're gonna kill each other. They don't just kill each other on the spot. That's rude.
I don't know, we only ever met pirates once and we didn't exactly stop to chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
It's
they
just one of the
did-
random little facts I know.
Well, the pirates we met didn't really comply with those standards.
Yeah.
But then again, I feel like they weren't your average pirates, and they weren't just looking for a random ship.
Well, yeah, and I mean, like, yeah, that.
Oh well.
But I feel like if you were going to openly send a threat to someone, why be so ambiguous about it? Why conceal your identity? Either they're planning something, or well, they've either got a sick sense of humor.
Maybe it's for that
Oh.
extra, like, sort of when they finally arrive, there'll be the lot of, oh my god, it's you!
That's what I
They can
mean.
then be like, ha!
Well,
God, this really is just sounding
sometimes
like a
you
bard's
just
tale.
forget sometimes you just forget in the moment.
Watch, I'll get another letter in like a week that says, "Oh, it was me."
It was
It
me!
was me all along, Austin!
Dun, dun. Ah!
Just get a letter. It's me, Austin! I was like, son of a bitch!
Not again.
I'm just waiting for Kelariis to open the envelope and somebody to jump out and be, ha! You thought it was another threatening letter, but it was me, Dio.
I just like to imagine that instead of they actually meant to write Kingslayer and it's like, oh, we misspelt it.
I don't know, have you killed any kings?
Well,
I
you're a
don't
reincarnation
think so.
of kinda of what's her face.
Is she reincarnation?
Well, like, no, well, you could say, but
I'm
like,
not sure if reincarnation's the right
Okay,
the right word.
that might not be the right word, but like,
They're very similar people. I don't know how. I don't know if this is actual reincarnation. Although I
well,
won't
like
call myself
said,
an expert on the
like I
arts of
said,
reincarnation.
Reincarnation might not be the right word, but like in the past, like the Jasmel was her name?
Jasmine.
Jasmel, that's it. Like Jasmel did kind of slay a king, and some people may consider you the same person.
He wasn't a monarchic king, but yes, I see your point.
Well, never mind.
Yeah, he was much just like a tyrant.
Yes. He was a very rich man with enough money to run a city.
It was an asshole.
Yeah, he was a tyrant.
Also, Kelariis didn't kill him, but
Yeah.
sure.
No, but like I said, that like if they were to project the past actions,
I mean, it's a bit of a
Unless,
stretch just because she has the same speed.
But, like,
yeah,
it
unless
is-
the letter
like,
was
it-
intended for the spear, because the spear is sentient.
also like it would all be a big spelling mistake, which makes it even more unlikely.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you send a letter like that, you want to make sure it's correct.
It wasn't intended to be like super serious.
Yeah, the word kinslayer is not pressed up against the edge of the paper because they're running out of room.
Right.
Yeah. That's the kind of letter you plan.
So, after you've had this conversation around the table, yeah, it's getting towards quite late in the evening at this point. And yeah, being it's by this point it's almost the middle of winter. The sun has already set behind the hills. What do you want to do?
I mean, Elizabeth's sort of just gonna... I don't know why I feel like I want to do this, I just feel like I do. Elizabeth's just gonna be like, hey, this is quick. Hey, Sidani, how are you doing on the old, magic front? Just 'cause I'm curious. You don't have to answer.
I'm doing okay. Just sort of learning little bits here and there. Not a lot of it combat effective, but well, just picking up a few tricks.
I mean, yeah. If you ever want a hand with anything, you know where to find me. I'm normally in the same place.
Thanks, I appreciate it. So, did you learn anything interesting while you were gone?
Oh, I've got a few new scrolls. I was gonna get them into my. I need to get them copied over.
Oh,
Didn't quite have the time.
neat. What kind of scrolls?
Oh, one of them's fairly simple. One of them's fairly simple. It's just allows me to summon. Basically, it summons this little disc I can carry stuff on. Simple, but you never know when you might need to carry something heavy.
Oh, that sounds pretty useful.
And a more complex spell for sending messages, stupidly long distances.
Yeah, that.
You only got a limited number of words, but as long as you're on the same plane of existence, you can send it, and it's instant.
Instant?
Pretty much.
Wow. You can message anyone?
Anyone on the same plane, yeah. Well, I kind of have to know them.
Huh.
I have to be familiar with the person, but yeah.
I wouldn't even know who to send a message to.
I mean, first of all, I suppose if you want to look at it in that way, there's the combat potential, because the person can reply as well. But I don't know, do you not have family or anything? I'd have thought someone like that would be top of the list.
Not exactly in the conventional department. I don't know. I kind of left my family behind. It's kind of a long story. I don't really want to get into it all that much.
I won't press if you don't want to get into it.
Yeah. Let's just say I came here to make my own family.
Found family. Cried.
It's Elizabeth just will presumably sort of look around the room at everyone and go, "You've definitely found a unique family."
Well, at least it's never boring.
Yeah, that much is true.
She sort of looks at the rest of the group who are just sort of sitting around having a conversation, just sort of says, "It's funny, when I first came here, it was almost a little weird. But now I think I'm really starting to feel like this is home. Didn't really have that before. But I don't know. Having people under your command is kind of like having lots of siblings, I guess.
You know what? The second I have people under my command, I'll let you know if that's how it feels. Because I definitely know the sim.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a unique feeling.
I just hope there's no people who are under your command who just get on your nerves.
Yeah, they're a pretty good bunch. I mean, sometimes trying to drill them anything is like trying to knock sense into a stone. But
Okay, yeah, no, I definitely know how that feels.
I don't know, they all try hard. Like, I think this job would be a lot harder if they didn't try, but...
Yeah. Like, I don't know, that does sound a lot like one of my younger brothers, because yeah, one of them is trying to get him to understand anything is very, very difficult, but he's as strong and loyal a friend as you could ask for. While the other, I mean, he's almost as smart as me. Yet you could I could almost push him over as well. So, you know, swings and roundabouts.
Everyone's different.
Exactly. Even those who were born at the same time.
Well, I should probably get back to doing things. Vondal wants me to do a whole bunch of stuff before I clock off, so...
Yeah. Of course, yes, don't let me keep you too long.
Yeah. I'll be sure to do some reading before I go to bed, though.
It's a nice way to get yourself to sleep, I find.
I don't know. I finished reading those books on magic and it feels like my head is full of bees.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt when I first started my studies. You get used to it. Eventually it becomes kind of fun. Although, I know our brains work very differently.
She just sort of like stands up, picks up her things and like moves towards the kitchen. Cool.
Yep.
Anyone else? I imagine Arya's just sitting at the table still reading the ridiculously long message. Yeah. It's like 3 pages.
And it's like not like it's all like deep backstory lore.
Yeah. She's like reading and rereading it.
I mean, I spend time like telling the Sierra what we were up to and what went down and all the crazy shit that happened and almost happened and then didn't happen, and it was great.
Sort of listens in rapt awe.
And I ask her about like how things have been for her, kind of, you know, like how training, if she's done anything.
Yeah, things are okay. Kind of went out on a couple of small jobs. Nothing sort of big, just escorting a couple of caravans around. Didn't really get into any dangers, so to speak. Had a close encounter with some wildlife, but I suppose in that sense being a Dragonborn is kind of useful. It's makes scaring off things a lot easier.
It does. I mean, at the end of the day, it still meant that you helped the people that you took the job from, so...
Yeah.
Glad that all went well, and that... there could have been a bit more excitement, but I'm glad that you were safe and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's... Whilst I miss kind of adventuring with you guys, it's feel a lot more like I'm contributing something.
And it can't be all crazy adventures all the time, or then that becomes the new normal. Then where are we at?
Yeah, I'm not sure I could handle that all the time.
Depending on where we go next, perhaps you can come with us this time.
I think I'd like that.
Yeah, well.
You know, after we had our conversation, I have been sort of practicing, you know, like trying to develop abilities like you have. And I think I'm getting somewhere.
You don't say.
I don't know. I'm not 100% sure what it is yet, but I don't know, when I close my eyes sometimes it's like there's someone helping me, like almost like holding my hand, but like you do when you've taught me things. But of course, there isn't. At least not physically.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I've had a lot of similar times like that. I think if you... I want to say that I would like to help and show you a bit more of what sort of things you can do, or the way that you can kind of... not intend to have those sorts of things happen, but I don't really know how to teach that, of all the things that I can try to share with you. But if you'd like, I can maybe do a bit more of... we can talk about that a bit more too.
I mean, I understand it's kind of a hard thing to... I can't even describe it at the best of times. I don't even know how you'd begin to teach it, but I'd like to sort of try what I can do, and if you can help me, then that's perfect. I mean, you talked about being able to read people's minds. Somehow I feel like that could be a useful skill sometimes.
It's... I actually don't know if I've ever really... I don't know if I've ever used that. Like, thinking about that on a character, I don't know if I've ever used that, but I know I can. It can be, but there's also... it's also important to remember that there are times where it may be necessary and times where it may be better not to. And I know you, and I know that you would make the right decisions in those moments, so I'm not worried about that with you.
Yeah. I mean, what's inside our heads is kind of vulnerable, I guess. I'm not sure I'd want somebody poking around there without my permission. Even you.
Exactly. Yes.
She just looks kind of awkward for a second.
Don't worry, there are no intentions to go poking around in anybody's head. Not of any of the... not of people in general, but definitely not of the people that I consider to be my friends and my family. That is... not something that's necessary.
She just sort of sheepishly smiles.
Well, I would like to see the things that you've been learning, figuring out. I'm sure it'll be just as exciting for me to see as it is to hear about it now.
Tomorrow then.
Sounds perfect.
She sort of makes to get up, grabs the things, makes it the same way that Zidani does into the kitchen.
Yeah.
So I guess, unless anybody else has anything they want to talk about.
Not today.
Okay. Then I guess everyone heads to bed.
I've got scrolls to copy still.
Oh, you're going to stay up and copy scrolls. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now we get to find out what room everyone's chosen.
Yeah.
Well, we know which one Elizabeth wants, so... Because, yeah, there's 3 people who... or 3 NPCs, at least, who have rooms that are somewhere. You can kind of decide where they are as well. And if I've done my maths correctly, there is one currently unoccupied room, which should be V's, but she's not here.
I mean, I thought it was quite obvious which one was V's room.
That's for you to decide.
Well, I mean, this one's got a plant in it.
That is true.
Is that a plant? Oh, I thought it was a cushion.
It's a pot plant, yeah.
Yeah, one of them's got a pot plant in it.
Okay, so that can be V's bedroom.
Sure. I guess I would be close to the stairs, so... Like, was there any idea for the rooms down there?
No, there's the bunk room, which is where most of your soldiers sleep, and then there's 2 rooms downstairs, which, if one of you wants a ground floor room, then you can have a ground floor room, but...
I guess I might as well.
Okay, so Grim sleeps on the ground floor.
Makes sense.
He can quickly jump up with his men.
Guess I'll take this one.
I guess in that case, Zidani would probably be opposite you.
I
Yeah,
imagine.
I'll take that one.
I imagine this would be for Sarah.
Sure.
Or wait, are we a room short? No, that works.
No.
No, we're good.
Yeah, there's only one character, or one pre-described player character who doesn't have a room, and that's... well, not player character, sorry. Primary character, and that is your lizard folk friend, who currently seems to switch between sleeping in the barracks, passing out in the main hall, or just anywhere that he seems to fancy. So
Finds its free, just leans up against.
I mean,
yeah,
that means we need one less bedroom, I suppose.
he doesn't seem to be bothered by which room he sleeps in. Wherever is warm seems to satisfy him.
Well, that's...
Which in this weather is probably in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Just comment and he's asleep by the stove.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, fair.
I mean, yeah, he's got to stay warm. He's cold-blooded.
Yep.
We'll offer him a bedroll if he wants to just sleep in random places.
Oh, he has like a big pile of like furs and like robes and sleeping things.
Yeah.
It's like you just occasionally stumble across a big pile of furs and you have to be careful not to tread in it because you know there's a lizard underneath.
A rather big lizard.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine. Oh,
Okay. And so, Presumably, those of you who sleep all go to sleep. Okay. And yeah, I guess on that we will take a short break.